A family doctor who lived in a small farming community in Indiana was at first puzzled, then frightened. He began observing strange symptoms in his patients. Starting out as innocent-looking rashes, they quickly became alarmingly large, painful lesions. Dr. Anderson took cultures and sent them off to a lab, which reported they were MRSA, staph infections that are resistant to antibiotics. He didn't live to tell the tale. Some believe he died of complications related to MRSA infection. Arousing, terrifying headlines as superbug or flesh-eating bacteria, MRSA is killing more than 18,000 Americans a year, according to the CDC, more than AIDS. The doctor suspected pigs in nearby hog farms were carrying the resistant disease. He was right. MRSA has spread rapidly. First discovered in swine-producing areas of the Netherlands, then Europe, this same strain of MRSA has now been found in the United States and Canada. A new study by Tara Smith, a University of Iowa epidemiologist, found that 49% of hogs tested and 45% of pig farmers she sampled carried MRSA. There's no doubt about it. Pork is bad for you. Besides MRSA, they carry trichinosis and dozens of other diseases that are downright bad for us humans. The CDC, the Mayo Clinic, and even TV evangelist Joel Osteen warn us not to eat pork products.
I don't know about you, but I don't want to take a chance of putting that kind of junk in my body.
More important than all these warnings, the Bible said it first. And the swine is unclean to you, and you shall not eat of their flesh or touch their dead carcass. God's laws always prevail, don't they? Do you want to protect yourself and your family from disease and the ill effects of eating pork? Then stop and follow what God asks us to do. Don't eat pork. For GN Magazine, I'm Dave Register.
Welcome back. Now we'll take your questions. Dr. Shabir, the question that we have today is from a 15-year-old who's asking, why would God create pigs and then deem it not good for consumption?
Well, there are a lot of things that God has created that, some are good for consumption, some are not good for consumption. And that doesn't mean to say that God's plan is not good. God has created things which are each good for its own purpose. And we don't know all the full reasons for all of God's creation, and we don't know the full wisdom behind all of his acts. That's why we need his guidance, because if we were left to our own, we would say, okay, everything looks good, we just eat whatever looks good. But in the Bible and also in the Quran, the consumption of pork is prohibited. And this is for good reasons which are known only to God. It may be that in ancient societies, people did not have the proper cooking and freezing facilities to ensure that the consumption of pork would lead to healthy human beings. And perhaps for that reason it was prohibited. Maybe it was also prohibited because the common sense of people leads to the conclusion that pigs are scavengers. They eat all and sundry things. And so there is a natural abhorrence for eating the meat that is nourished from all and sundry things. And one is more inclined to eat from those animals which are, fed and nourished on good rations. It is a prohibition that is known in our religion, and if one is forced by circumstances to eat that, then of course then we know that the circumstances may actually cause a prohibition to now become a permissible thing. But that's not our situation now, and we have so many things which are halal and permissible to eat, so we do not have to turn to this thing which we know to be prohibited in the Quran.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shabir.
You're welcome.